Who's winning each men's title through WrestleMania 42? In part 1, we're grading all the Raw Superstars' chances next. I am on a family trip to the most magical place on earth right now, so instead of Stop the 10 Count today, we will make some magic and grade all of the male Raw Superstars for how likely they are to win any main roster title by and including WrestleMania 42. There are, of course, 4 title belts on Raw for the males, so we will include every single current superstar on WWE.com and throw in some special ones at the end. And our only other rule, like we said last week, is that one person per show must get an A and one must get an F. So to match the WWE.com list, we will run through these in alphabetical order by first name. So let's get to the Raw men's roster with AJ Styles, who's getting a C+ only. And what I want to happen will probably not happen. And what I want to happen is for him to win that IC title and then lose it to John Cena and then have Dominic Mysterio beat Cena in his final match. But I don't know. After AJ lost in Paris, I don't see them putting the IC title on him now. Akira Tozawa is next. He's getting an F, and I'm not sure why Otis isn't showing up. And if we're not getting Otis, there's simply no chance of Tozawa getting a miracle title win. Austin Theory's next. He's also getting an F. Now, his injury, of course, caused an A-Town Down Under split, so it's unknown right now how long he will be out, and I'm not sure if Triple H even cares. But even so, if he returns, I think he's really only going to focus on getting revenge on Waller for dumping him so quickly. Braun Breaker is going to get an A because the vision has to be a tag team title run for the Braun Squad and then a showdown with the Usos at WrestleMania. And earlier, I thought Breaker might break away from Rollins before WrestleMania 2 so he could win a singles title there, namely the World Heavyweight title, but I think we're going to wait for that a little bit longer. Bronson Reed is next. He's getting an A-, part 2 of the Braun Squad here. As I said, I think they simply have to win the tag team titles, but he's getting a slightly lower score because he has even less chance of winning a singles title. Brutus Creed is getting a D-, and the Creeds are a good tag team, so they're just above an F because of that, but since they're not on TV at all, and the focus will be on Gable once he does return, I don't think they have much chance here. Speaking of which, Chad Gable is next, and he's getting a B, and I just think once he does return from that injury, he's going on a heater all the way to the IC title at WrestleMania 42. But no, for those of you who think he may be El Grande Americano, even if he is, that has no impact right here. CM Punk is next, and he's getting an A- out of me because it's well documented that I always pick this guy to win the Royal Rumble, and if he finally does, he certainly could win either of those championships. But he also could win one before then if AJ Lee decides to help him out. Cruz del Toro's next, and he's getting an F. The LWO got their one chance and they lost, which is unfortunate because they are talented guys, but it's simply not happening. Dragon Lee is getting a C on the other hand, and I'm not ruling out him beating Dom for the IC title, and it's certainly in the realm of possibility that he could win the tag titles with either Rey Mysterio or with Penta. El Grande Americano is next, and he, or they, however many there are getting a B+, because we've currently seen 4 different El Grande Americanos, or I guess that's Los Grandes Americanos. Anyways, this applies to anyone who wants to be El Grande Americano, so if any one of them wins, they certainly count here, and I think they have a pretty good chance of winning that IC title. Eric is getting a B, and after taking 3 whole months off, I think to get the Braun Squad to win the titles, they should put the titles on faces, and the War Raiders simply are the best choice to have those titles to lose to the Braun Squad. Grayson Waller is next. He's getting a D, and this only works for him if the New Day wins the titles again and Big G gets to take advantage of the Freebird rule to stick it to Big E even more. Now, of course, I think he's going to get caught up with Austin Theory's return eventually, so that's going to not help him out get a title anytime soon. Gunther is going to get a B+ here. Now, of course, I've predicted a brand switch and a US title win in both of my WrestleMania 42 prediction videos, and that's really the only thing that makes sense here. And since the WWE wants to always give him a title, well, I guess I'm leaning towards that still happening. Ilya Dragunov is going to get a B-. He was injured last September, so he's certainly about ready to return. And when he does, I think he's going to be undeniable and will get a quick rise to win the IC title. And only due to that uncertainty, we're going to put him in the B range, but at the very bottom of the B range. Ivar is also getting a B, to be tied with Eric, of course, and even a transitional reign out of the War Raiders count here, so I think they're gonna get it. Jey Uso is next. He gets an A-. It is certainly not out of the realm of possibility that he wins either of the two singles titles before WrestleMania, but I think this is really about the tag titles, and with Jimmy now helping out, I think we're gonna see them win by WrestleMania 42. Joaquin Wilde is going to get an F because he and Del Toro had their best moment, and it has passed without ever winning a title. But maybe they can win the AAA tag team titles instead. Julius Creed's getting a D-. We have to see more once Gable returns, but even when he does return, I'm not expecting much out of the Creed brothers. Kofi Kingston is getting a B, and that the New Day is doing more since they lost the titles is quite puzzling, but it is a good omen for their future. But of course, they could also change brands and win on the SmackDown side as well, so I think they get one somewhere. LA Knight's going to get a B- out of me. I don't really think he's going to win the World Heavyweight Championship this time around by WrestleMania, but since he has switched rosters, I really do think he could win the IC title for his first time. Logan Paul's getting a C+. He actually feels like he's in pretty much the same boat as his former rival LA Knight, but he's just the heel version instead. And he also shows up less, so that's why his grade's a little bit lower, but that's even assuming he goes back to Raw following his loss to John Cena. Ludwig Kaiser has to get an F here because this excludes El Grande Americano, so Kaiser by himself simply really has no path to a title, though I think it wouldn't be a bad idea if they actually put Imperium back together and they could go on a tag team title run, but yeah, that's not going to happen for now. Otis is getting an F, and Triple Mania, that was pretty awesome, right? So where's our number one guy on Raw? I just don't understand this at all, so come on back, Otis. Penta is getting a B+, only LA Knight has more matches than Penta so far, but he also lost 4 IC title matches early on, but maybe we'll be able to swing back around to it and no one will be too sad. So he can also either join Rey Mysterio or Dragon Lee, or even his brother, to win a tag team championship as well. Pete Dunne is getting an F because he's simply MIA. While he did pop up in GCW a month ago, WWE clearly has no urgency to get him back on TV. So I don't see him or the New Catch Republic doing anything anytime soon. Rey Mysterio is going to get a C here. He was eyeing an August return, so I have to assume that he's at least close. So could he quite possibly be the one to defeat Dominic Mysterio for the IC title? Well, I think he also could have a short-term tag run as well with another luchador, so we'll put him right down the middle. Rusev is getting a C-. He got a badly needed win versus Sheamus, so maybe he will move on to the IC title at some point, especially if AJ Styles does end up winning, but titles don't really seem to be high on his priority list just yet. Sheamus is getting a C, and despite losing to Rusev, I'm giving him a higher score because he is always around that IC title scene, and then yes, always losing that IC title match, but he will win it one day. The question is, will it be this year? I just tend to think not, since he's early in another 5-year contract. Tyler Bate is getting an F, and his return actually made things worse for his partner Pete Dunne, as their last match together was on Main Event in May, so I simply don't know what's up here with them. And lastly, in the regular group is Xavier Woods. He's getting a B, and I have to give credit for their good recent work together, and even if the Bronze Squad is destined to win the tag team titles, they certainly could switch on over to SmackDown as an option to win that tag title as well. We will do the group of others here instead of on the next show because there are less men on Raw than there are on SmackDown right now. So we'll start with Brock Lesnar, and we're going to give him a C, since you can never really count out the beast when he's around, but I don't think he's going to be around enough to be a factor for a title before WrestleMania 42. Omos is getting a D-, and he made his grand return at Triple Mania to win the Copa Bardal and then also go viral for his tossing of Microman. But simply, we have to ask, where is he, WWE? The Rock is next. We're going to give him a D-, which is really depressing now that we've seen him lose nearly 60 pounds at the Smashing Machine premiere, which is also smashing all of my hopes to see him at WrestleMania. But I suppose if he really wants one more humongous match, which I admit might not be for a title against Roman Reigns, I at least don't doubt that he could do it and get back in fighting shape. Any NXT star I'm going to give a D- to, because unlike the women, I just don't really see it here. And I guess we could be done with Trick holding the TNA championship, so maybe he could finally get a call up to the main roster, but even that is a really outside shot right now. And I suppose I'll count Ethan Page if he and Chelsea switch from going to NXT and instead go back to SmackDown, and he goes for the US title instead, but nah. Next is any AAA male wrestler. I'll give that a D- as well, because first I think we need to fix Vikingo and whatever was going on there at Worlds Collide before we can even consider putting him on the main roster for any reason. So this one simply comes down to Mr. Iguana. Could we possibly see Yeska and Demonito showdown one more time, and this time with La Yeska coming out on top to win the tag team titles? Nah, it's not gonna happen. Up next is any TNA wrestler, and I'll give that a better score with a C- because the WWE does indeed believe in Joe Hendry, and with his contract expiring soon, we could see him go right into US title or IC title contention. But we're not going to only count him, because I think the Hardy Boys have a chance as well, as their contracts are expiring at the end of the year, so sure, they might as well come back and win another tag team title at WrestleMania yet again. And lastly, any other male wrestler anywhere, well, we're going to give this a D-. But first off, I think the main question we have to answer here is, are we being worked? And yes, I am talking about Karrion Kross. And while I do enjoy him helping out the indie god Shotzi, it would be better if he came back to win the IC title against his prior nemesis, AJ Styles. But we also do have to briefly just note Chris Jericho's contract is expiring, and even if he comes back, I don't see him winning a title right now. So last September, my worst miss was giving Seth Rollins an A-, but we see that he just needed a little bit longer to see his vision through instead. But if you didn't see my grades for the entire women's roster last week, be sure to go right on over here and check that out. And we'll wrap up this 3-part series on Friday with the SmackDown men's roster. So until then, I am the SportsZu, and this is a podcast that needs a new name.